When we talk about the birthplace of democracy, our minds go straight to one place: Rome, Athens, the West. We've been conditioned to believe that while Europe was debating philosophy and voting in marble halls, the rest of the world was trapped under god kings and divine tyrants. It's a neat linear story, but it's missing a massive, revolutionary chapter. 2.5 millennia ago, on the fertile plains of northern India, kings weren't the only ones in charge. Long before the Roman Republic reached its peak, India was home to a sprawling network of sophisticated, organized, and highly competitive republics. Welcome to the era of the Mahajanapadas, the 16 great states that defined ancient Indian geopolitics. While textbooks often focus on the famous monarchies like Magadha, several of the most powerful players were actually Ganasangas. We're talking about states like the Vaji Confederacy, the Mallas, the Panchalas, and the Shakyas. The city of Vaishali, the capital of the Vajis, was the New York City of its day. It was described as a teeming metropolis, divided into 3 districts with thousands of golden dome buildings and pleasure gardens. But what made it truly unique wasn't the architecture, it was the power structure. In Vaishali alone, ancient texts claim there were 7,707 Rajas. These weren't kings in the sense of absolute rulers. They were the heads of the elite clans who met in a massive circular parliament building called the Santhagara. This wasn't some informal tribal gathering. It was a rigorous institutional system. When the assembly met, they followed strict parliamentary procedures that looked shockingly modern. They had a designated seating official called the Ganapuraka, who acted like a sergeant-at-arms, ensuring everyone sat in their assigned place according to rank and seniority. They made formal motions called nati. If a motion was read once and no one objected, it passed. If there was disagreement, it was read up to 3 times. And when they couldn't reach a consensus, they moved to a formal vote. They used small wooden sticks called salaka as ballots. To keep things fair, they appointed a salaka gahapaka, essentially an ancient election commissioner, whose entire job was to collect the sticks and ensure the integrity of the vote. They even had rules for absentee voting and procedures to handle deadlock. This was organized, intellectual governance happening centuries before the Magna Carta was even a thought. To understand how deep this Republican spirit went, look at the story of the Shakya clan. They were so fiercely proud of their independence that they once got into a heated debate with a powerful neighboring king over water rights for the Rohini River. Instead of a king simply ordering a massacre, the Shakyas held a massive assembly to vote on whether to go to war or seek diplomacy. This culture of debate defined the life of the man who grew up in their halls, Siddhartha Gautama, the Buddha. The Buddha didn't just come from a republic. He modeled the entire Buddhist monastic order, the Sangha, on the political structures he grew up with. He saw the strength of the Vaji Confederacy and famously remarked that as long as they met in regular assemblies and acted in concord, they would be invincible. He took those democratic principles of debate, seniority, and collective decision-making and used them to build one of the most enduring institutions in human history. Even today, Buddhist monks use similar consensus-based voting systems that were born in those ancient Indian parliaments. But we have to be intellectually honest here. These weren't democracies in the way we think of them today. They were oligarchies. Political power was a members-only club reserved for the Kshatriya warrior clans. In the Lichavi Republic, there's a famous story of a high-ranking official who was passed over for a promotion and nearly started a civil war because the equality of the Rajas made them incredibly jealous of one another. If you were a farmer, a trader, a laborer, or a woman, you were locked out of the Santhagara. It was a republic of equals, but only for the elite at the top of the social pyramid. So if these states were so advanced, why did they disappear? The answer is a brutal lesson in political evolution. While the republics were busy debating, the neighboring monarchies were centralizing. Monarchs had one terrifying advantage: speed. A king didn't have to wait for a quorum or win a debate to go to war. He could raise a massive standing army, collect taxes with total authority, and strike while the Republican assemblies were still arguing over strategy. The fall of the Vaji Confederacy is the ultimate example of this. The king of Magadha, Ajatashatru, knew he couldn't beat the Vajis in a fair fight, so he played the long game. He sent his top minister, Vasikara, to live among them as a spy. For 3 years, Vasikara worked from the inside, whispering rumors and sowing seeds of jealousy between the different clans. He would tell one Raja that another was laughing at his family or that certain clans were getting more wealth. By the time the Magadhan army finally marched, the Vajis were so divided they couldn't even agree on a defense. The republic was swallowed by the empire. By the time Chandragupta Maurya created India's first pan-Indian empire, the age of the great Ganasangas was fading. But the DNA didn't just vanish. The spirit of collective governance retreated into the background, into village panchayats, into powerful trade guilds called shrenis, and into the local councils that managed Indian life for the next 2,000 years. The story of India's forgotten republics forces us to rethink the entire narrative of human progress. Political innovation wasn't a Western invention that was exported to the rest of the world. It was a global experiment that happened simultaneously. Across the ancient world, human beings were independently trying to figure out the same thing: how to limit the power of a single individual and rule through collective wisdom. Long before the Roman Senate became a symbol of power, and long before Athens became the face of democracy, the warriors and elders in Vaishali were already proving that you didn't need a king to build a civilization. And that is a story worth telling. If you found this as fascinating as I did, hit that like button. It helps the algorithm share this forgotten history. And let me know in the comments, why do you think these republics are so rarely mentioned in world history?